welcome everyone. Hello and welcome to today's virtual webinar with Tata Communications. My name is Annie Bricker and I'm the former senior editor of Computer News Middle East and current contributing editor to IDG's CIO.com. And I'm delighted again to be working with CPI Media Group to moderate today's session. So as you know, 2020 has seen companies across the globe shift workforces to remote working models. And while the pandemic will surely end, remote and hybrid remote working may be here to stay. In fact, a recent survey indicated that the share of working days spent at home is expected to increase by fourfold from pre-COVID levels, from 5% to 20%. This, of course, puts additional pressure on the IT department to implement best practices that supports business continuity in the office and in work from home environments. So before we begin to discuss this topic, I'd just like to briefly review today's agenda. First, we'll have a brief presentation from Sandeep Sachdeva, Associate Director, Middle East and Africa at Tata Communications, who will discuss the secure, connected digital workplace. Then I will invite Raj Prakayastha, Head of Pre-Sales, India MECAA for Tata Communications, to join Sandeep and I on screen for a panel discussion. Now, this is an interactive session, so we do invite attendees to both ask and answer questions. If you'd like to participate with either a question or response, please use the raise hand function on your screen, and we will happily turn on your microphone. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Sandeep. Sandeep?
Thanks, Sunny. Thanks for the introduction. I hope you are able to see me clearly and you're able to hear me. A very warm welcome to all of you. Very good morning. I'm Sandeep Sachdev, and I'm basically responsible for the business in Middle East and Africa for Tata Communications. So it is my privilege to welcome you all on behalf of Tata Communications family. We are really honored and delighted to have you here today, and would like to thank each one of you for making time to attend today's event. So as the theme of today's event is a roundtable discussion, though we are sitting at our home in front of our flat screens, but in the spirit of virtual roundtable discussion, we would request all of you to assist us and make today's discussion more insightful and interactive by sharing your thoughts and view. And to make it interactive, we would like to start with a small thought-provoking presentation on my topic, which is creating a secure and connected digital workplace. So let me just share my screen and put it into a presentation mode. Before I present my, before I start, I would like to give you an overview of Tata Communication, who we are and what we do. So we are part of Tata Group, which operates in more than 100+ countries across 6 continents, and our group revenue is more than $100 billion, out of which 67% is generated outside of India. So Tata Group has diversified interests from SOL to software, and Tata Communication is the ICT arm of Tata Group. So we are into telecommunications, and we call ourselves digital ecosystem enabler for enterprises. So quick facts about Tata Communications. So we are the #1 wholesale voice carrier in the world, and today we carry somewhere about 54 billion minutes on our backbone every year. We are the owner of the world's largest subsea cable network, and we are the only service provider who has laid their fiber cable system around the globe, which helps our customers to connect to 99.7% of global GDP. So from an internet perspective, 25% of internet routes are being learned on our backbone, which means that every 4th or 5th internet packet in this world actually traverses on our backbone. And for 7 years in a row, we have been ranked as leaders in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for our network services. So, and this is our global infrastructure map. So the blue subsea cable, which you see on the screen, is basically Tata's owned cable system, and we have strategically invested in multiple consortia cable so that we can offer a better uptime to our customers across the globe. And this is our overall global MPLS footprint. So we have more than 400 MPLS POPs across the globe, which helps our customers to build their private network on our robust backbone. So now on top of this core infrastructure, we have built our managed services stack. And as the digital landscape of enterprises is evolving rapidly, and so are their requirements, we as a company is focusing to provide platform as a service to our customers rather than product or a specific service. And today I'm going to talk about one of those platforms, which is called Secure Connected Digital Experience. And the short form is SCDX, which probably I'll take during my presentation. So to start with, let me just share the views of thought leadership in the industry about the new normal, which is basically an outcome of COVID-19 crisis. So 75% of Fortune 500 CEO believes that COVID-19 has accelerated their technology transformation journey, and 60% strongly believes that keeping their employees safe and productive is their top priority, whereas 26% expects that the substantial part of their workforce will never return to their usual workplace. And 60% believes that virtual meetings will reduce their travel costs. So, when this crisis has started, somewhere about early March, April this year, organizations have started to adapt the paradigm shift, and they had to rethink and change their business strategy and their immediate priority. And their immediate priority was to basically protect their people, by enabling them to work from home, realign their IT system, and meet and introduce policy and regulations around new way of working. Now we see that this phase is ending, and more organizations are getting accustomed to working remotely. And now, as most of the things are crawling back to normal, organizations are looking to stabilize their operation, reach to a steady state, and then try to focus on recovery and accelerate their growth. Now, while they go through each of these phases, what our organization would have to do, right? So basically they have to review and test their BCP. And as you must be hearing, that most of the organization, even including ours, have now decided that a percentage of workforce will continue to work from home. So which means that they have to review their security landscape and leverage their data and analytics for planning and recovery, and focus on customer experience, connecting with customers through omni-channel solutions, and obviously focusing on accelerating their sales and adopting cloud for speed and agility. So now we are talking about stabilizing, recovering, and accelerating our businesses. And our top priority should be to make our digital first, to make our business digital first, right? And it can be only achieved if we have an agile digital foundation. We create digital models for every part of the value chain, harness data, and most importantly, establish a framework for ubiquitous security. And when we talk about building such a digital first strategy or blueprint, it will certainly lead to different new challenges for IT teams to ensure that there is an effective collaboration between the employees. And as I said earlier, ubiquitous security is one of the important aspects of digital strategy. And considering that most of the employees are either fully or partially working from home, secure access to your core applications is becoming a major concern. And this is one of the biggest challenge which all the enterprises are talking about today. And moving on to the next challenge, which is digital platform. So what we have seen that most of the companies in UAE or Middle East are either looking to or have already moved their contact center operations to either to India or to any other low-cost country to basically to optimize their operations. And as the internet quality at home is still a challenge in these cost-effective country, handshake between the cloud or the contact center platforms and the work from home solutions is becoming a challenge, as many a times they are being sourced from different companies. And from a regulatory and compliance standpoint, wet signatures are still required. There is a less adoption of digital signature. For physical security, workforce safety, basically, which is so workforce safety is becoming really a challenge, especially for manufacturing companies, where the employees and the field workers basically are not maintaining the social distancing norm. And binding all of this all together, if the IT infrastructure of an organization is not geared up or capable of integrating new technologies which will help the employees to effectively work from their homes, the companies could fall flat on their face, right? So we take pride in sharing that Tata Communications today delivers a secure, connected digital workplace or platform which enables our customers to overcome these challenges, and which basically we have discussed. So, and as we speak, we have enabled more than 150 plus organizations worldwide from our SCDX platform by providing them safe and secure access to cloud and their data centers, and help their employees to collaborate better in an effective way, and have empowered more than 300 plus contact center employees to seamlessly work from their homes. So moving on to the next slide. So basically, so what our secure connected digital platform offers. So, and to elaborate and explain it better, we have defined few use cases which we believe resonates with all the enterprises, and will give you a perspective that how our SCDX platform could help you address your challenges and requirements. So I'll quickly take you through these 5 use cases, which is going to talk about connecting users to either to your cloud and SaaS platform, or to your private cloud data centers, or connecting with your customers through digital customer experience platforms, or having an end-to-end solutions for your employees for the productive collaborations. Last but not the least, employee safety, which is based on the IoT network. So in the first use case, we are talking about the challenges which your employees might be facing while accessing the cloud-based applications from their home, right? So accessing applications over, over an untrusted networks, home or public internet may not be up to the mark, right? I'm not sure, whether my video is coming properly to you or not, but because as I'm working from home, so this is a challenge. Now, these challenges could result in lower productivity and could put your intellectual property at risk. And to overcome these challenges, Tata Communications has launched a groundbreaking solution which can offer you a reliable, agile, high performant and secure virtual private network on internet backbone itself. And that's called NetFoundry. So NetFoundry is basically an application specific WAN networking solution which can gives you visibility for your applications of your applications performance, and can improve the network performance by 10x. And it offers a military grade security by working on a zero trust policy, which is one of the major concerns, as we called out, or the challenges which IT teams are facing today. So the beauty of this solution is that it's a software based solution, and the NetFoundry overlay network can be built within minutes on top of your underlay ISP network, and it could be any ISP network for that matter. So we are basically saying we are vendor agnostic, so or ISP network agnostic. So NetFoundry, along with the VDI setup on either on Azure, on AWS, will give you an agile and secure solution which can be end-to-end managed by Tata Communications. So moving on to the next use case. So if you are looking to build a secure network to access your mission critical applications hosted in your data centers or third party data centers or on cloud, we can offer you our global MPLS solutions along with two-factor authentication and managed VDI solution to address your need. We take pride in sharing that we have direct interconnect with almost all the cloud providers over MPLS network, which enables you to extend your private network to these cloud platforms. And so moving on to the next use case. So during these unprecedented times, staying connected with customers has become a major challenge. And if you do not have a digital strategy or plans to connect with your customers over omni-channel methods, right, then it may impact your company's performance. And as you will not be able to proactively take feedback from your customers, you may not be able to take the right decisions. So, and the second challenge is, maintaining the integrity of customers and employee data is becoming a difficult task to manage, because your customer care executives are now working from home over an untrusted network. So all of these challenges can be addressed through our global hosted contact center as a service, which provides you an omni-channel experience along with the integrated SLA for your voice, network, and cloud contact center platform. And it enables you to keep your customers at the heart of all decisions and act on their voice. Moving on to the next use case. So offering a unified collaboration platform or productive collaboration, right? Basically, for your employees, for audio or video conferencing or file sharing or messaging purpose, is basically a key for an effective collaboration. And if you have global operations, it becomes more important for you to provide a consistent experience to all the end users who are working from different parts of the world. And we at Tata Communications enables you to offer a seamless experience to your employees by providing an end-to-end collaboration solution. So, for example, if you are using a Cisco WebEx or Microsoft Teams collaboration tool, many at times your employees or your clients who are on the move or facing an internet connectivity issue, they need an option to join or attend the important calls or meetings over their mobile or PSTN networks, right? So which can be only enabled if you have a PSTN dial-in option. So being a #1 wholesale voice carrier in the world, we have already pre-established the PSTN and SIP interconnects basically between our global voice switches and Cisco WebEx and Microsoft Teams cloud platforms, which offers you the dial-in numbers for more than 100+ countries and enables your employees to join the important meetings through their mobile or PSTN lines. And in addition to it, we offer the complete replacement of your traditional EPBX system with a cloud-based EPBX solutions like Steam Direct Routing and etc. And moving on to the basically to the so these are the basically the solutions which I just talked about. So moving on to the use case number 5, as now most of the governments have either already relaxed the restrictions or planning to do so. Employee safety has become the biggest concern, especially for manufacturing companies, and providing because they have to provide a contactless entry, exit, attendance system is the need of the hour. So to enable our customers, we have come up with an IoT-based solution which can actually help you to monitor the heart rate, body temperature, create geofencing and do the contact tracing through a safety wearable wristwatches or badges which which an employee can wear. And in case the employee fails to maintain the social distancing norms or feels unwell, it can generate an alert to the central command so that necessary action can be taken by the respective BCP team in your organization. So so these and these are the few proof points of our commitment which we have shown to our customers during this crisis, so that they can fight again, and it talks about how we have assisted them to fight against this pandemic by providing them the required infrastructure to enable their workforce to work from home, by processing their orders on time, by augmenting our network on time, so on and so forth. And this brings me to my last slide, which talks about the Tata Communications service portfolio. And starting from our underlay network services, the core network which I presented you, initially in my presentation, we offer traditional services like MPLS, IPL, Ethernet services to hybrid WAN, SD-WAN, NetFoundry, private connectivity to various cloud platforms. And to share, few customer references, the region's largest airline company is running their entire network on our MPLS backbone. And not only enterprise customers, even the government customers, for example, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they have connected all their offices across the globe on our backbone. And many BFSI customers in the region are taking private connectivity from us to the cloud providers platforms where their core or mission critical applications are hosted. So on top of our core network backbone, we have built our managed services stack, which has been categorized majorly in 6 key pillars, which is data center, hosting services, managed security services, UCC, voice and collaboration services, services for media vertical, application aware networking, and mobility and IoT services. So just to give you again a few customer references, so Kimji Ramdas in the region, and one of the leading insurance company in the region, their entire infrastructure is actually hosted on our cloud. And similarly, one of the leading retail company in the UAE is using our managed services. And similarly, a leading healthcare company in Abu Dhabi is using collaboration services from us, and so on and so forth. So, and I believe this gives you a fair idea of our overall capabilities. And even after the event, if you wish to know more about our services, we'll be happy to have one-to-one sessions. We'll happy to have set up a workshops or a capability walkthrough sessions with you and your team to take you through all these capabilities in details. And this brings me to end of my presentation. I thank each one of you for patiently listening me, and I'll now hand it back hand it over to Annie. Annie, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. It's clear that the world of work is going to change in the future and has changed now, and preparing for whatever the new normal is going to be vitally important. So now I'd like to invite Raj to join Sandeep and I on the screen for our interactive panel discussion. Just a reminder to all of our attendees, if you'd like to participate, and we hope that you do, by either asking or responding to a question, please just use the raise hand function on your screen, and we'll be happy to unmute your microphone. So I'm going to start with a question for Raj. We'll give Sandeep a little break. Could you kind of walk us through some common challenges that customers are facing during the pandemic and how Tata Communications is supporting them?
Sure, thanks Annie. It's a very on the ground question per se, and let me start with a lighter note out here. For the people who think that if they're in a very good location or if they're in a good country, they'll not face challenges in working from home, specifically from a broadband perspective. They should look up to bbc.com. There's a news out there that due to a malfunctioning TV, the entire village used to have broadband outages every morning at 7 a.m. Those are the realities of working from home, right? When you work from office, you don't have to think about your network. You don't have to think about your power. You don't have to think about anything per se, right? You go there, put your laptop and start working. When you work from home, the first issue that emerges is, in a setting like this, when I'm talking to you, the first thing that comes to my mind is, I hope my broadband is going to work today, right? It's not going to give up on me today. And, that's the way the world is changing at this point of time, right? That's the way the entire, thought process is changing. And that impacts productivity at the end of the day, right? So coming back to the question that you asked, that what is impacting in today's parlance, what is impacting employees and what is there on top of the mind for a CIO, right? And I'm sure while the gentleman there on the call will kind of give more perspective, uh, starting from, is my broadband going to hold up uh, for calls like this, for me to send mails, for me to finish my work, to simple things like, is my security too high or too less? For example, since I'm connected on broadband today, my CISO's biggest issue is, Raj is unsecure, and therefore, put a lot of security on top of this laptop, correct? But then, does it mean that while I'm working, I'll take 30 minutes to log in? It kills my productivity. Or while I'm working, my broadband, 30% of my broadband goes in all kind of VPN activities, right? Again, kills my productivity. So there has to be a fine balance between, how we can get productivity with security, with performance, right? And that is what, CIOs and CTOs are asking for today.
Great. That's a great overview of some really common challenges that you're seeing. I see that we have our first hand raised, so I'd like to call on Abdul Karim. We'd love to hear your comments.
Hello.
Hey, Abdul.
Hello. Yes, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, as you are mentioning about this, you are accessing from home. Now, true that there's some difficulties accessing from home, but there always you can link yourself to the database or the data center in your at your office. Now, you can have a code number, you can have any other registration code number to link there. But then what are, as you mentioned, with the world now, we are we are having, we are a new technology now, not as in the past technology. I would think that there is no difficulties, no problems at all at the moment in accessing your database, your work at your data center or maybe at the cloud. So I don't know what is the difficulties here you are addressing. I'm sorry to say that, but I just want to know, I'm a technical man, I just want to know what are the real difficulties we are facing in accessing like the cloud or accessing the data center. So can you please just let me know what are the difficulties?
Sure. I'll kind of start with a perspective, and I'll ask Sandeep to add in. Abdul, I'm sure you are amongst the lucky few who has a great broadband at home. I'm also lucky. I have a good broadband at home. Not everybody is that lucky, and that's not for lack of payment or something like that. There isn't good broadband in a lot of locations, right? And even if you want it, you don't get it. Now that's problem statement number one, that if you do not have a good broadband at a locality, then what do you do? And that's across regions. I'm not talking about a particular country. It can be any region. So for example, if you go to Philippines, which has a huge amount of contact centers and deployments of back offices per se, broadband there is absolutely not good. Okay, and if the people working from home struggle a huge amount in just connecting for simple things. Even downloading mails is a huge issue out there. So that's one of the big issues which happens, right? If you look at a recent study, it says that in the working population across the world, around 90 to 92% of the people in the developing economies do not have good broadband, right? In the developed economies, it's a different, the mix is different. In developing economies, it is 92%. So only 8% has good broadband. So that's, you're the lucky within the lucky 8%, right? That's the first issue which comes in. The second issue is many companies, and I heard you about, you keeping your data in the cloud and accessing them nicely, no problem. lot of companies have data which is behind a secure architecture, which is not easily accessible from internet architecture. And for them to make it internet enabled takes a huge amount of changes, which is difficult, right? So again, that scalability and flexibility of accessing from anywhere, any device is a challenge for a whole lot of people. Again, it is not because they can't do it, but because they have issues in terms of security policies, meeting certain guidelines, even regulatory / government policies which come into play in terms of where you can do what and so on and so forth. Those kind of things come into play, right? So if you look at it from that angle, you are right. There are a whole lot of people who do not have problems, but then there are a whole lot of people who actually have real problems in accessing data working from home, either from connectivity perspective or from the method of connectivity or from a security architecture perspective. Today, if you look at it, if I have $18, I can actually bring down any corporate, right? You may launch a DDoS attack. I'm sure, Abdul, since you're a technical person, you'll know. You can go to the dark web, buy a DDoS attack with $18. And if you attack the VPN concentrator, the entire organization will be down because everybody is going to the VPN concentrator, right? So that's the intricacies of what's happening in today's world. And we are actually learning and looking at all those on a daily basis per se. Sandeep, do you want to add something?
Yeah,
right.
actually, hello?
Go ahead, Abdul, please.
Yeah, actually, what you're saying is true, but then it's all depends on the service provider. Like I am working in a company. The company, they should provide all the services and to access it. Now, suppose like somebody, the people who are struggling, maybe they are not belonging to any organization. They are just trying to log in to any organization, but the organization should have the services. Should be to provide these services to the end users. Look, this is, I mean, working at home or whatever, or at distance. This is not a new thing. I know this has been ongoing since maybe the 90s. Once the internet is really in the market, when we have the internet, many people are working at. I know in France and other in Europe, they are working at home and they are spending their time on the beach, and we are doing a lot of work from the beach and doing everything, I mean, this is working on on distance working. It is not new, but it all rely on the service provider. Like this company should provide all the services back to the end user. I am an end user. I should get full services to this organization. Now, if this organization is not capable of providing these services, then I'll be struggling in that case. They should. I mean, when I'm in the organization, I was providing these services to the end user because I'm in the IT. I provide like SIM cards. I provide better stream. I will check even the what are the data rate at their end, and I try to increase that. So really, the looking after should comes from the organization itself, not from the individual.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree. Totally.
And Sandeep, maybe you have a comment as well.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add on what Raj has shared with Abdul, and probably this may address his point. So Abdul, and I agree with you. However, if you look at today, even in the region, right, there are many enterprise customers who are facing issues on the the virtual private network which they have built on internet connectivity, so to say, right? So I can share one classic example. We have a customer who has operations in UAE, Kuwait, Saudi, and they are accessing the cloud platforms. And still, they are facing issues on their network when they connect to the cloud platforms, right? So they face these latency, jitters issues, right? And they don't have a visibility how their applications are performing. So what we are trying to say over here is that we have solutions in place which can help you to optimize your overall network performance. And technically speaking, right, the NetFoundry solution, which I talked about in my presentation, it actually converts the TCP traffic into a UDP traffic, which increases the throughput, right? So you have a better performance on your network, so to say, right? Which help enterprises, not only the individuals only, but also the enterprises, I'm saying. And from a secure access standpoint, right, which Raj was calling out, you have to understand the point that the end user who is working from home will not have all the security equipments or measures, the way you have in your office or your main data center. So the end users are either now first connect to their core data center and then go to these cloud platforms, or at times, they go directly to the cloud platform. So what we are saying is that we are, giving an overlay security on top of your network, which you are already using. If your network is performing really well, it makes complete sense, and you can keep using it. However, security is still a concern for the IT stakeholders like yourself, right? So you need to have a solution which works on kind of a zero trust policies, which help you and will give you peace of mind, right? That whatever data you are accessing, it is secure and it is encrypted, and you don't have to be bothered about security anymore. I hope probably that may addresses your concern.
Yeah, but hello. Yeah, but that it can be uploaded on your laptop or your computer that you're using at home, like firewalls and all the security aspects. It can be loaded onto your computer or your laptop while you are working at home, even at your mobile. You can load the firewall. You can have all the security measure, all the security levels onto your laptop, onto your mobile. And that can be provided by the organization. You cannot just go into the firewall and install it. It's installed by that's what we're doing at the organization. We install everything to the end customers, and we give them the laptops, mobile, whatever, and we say, okay, you can access the application, certain application, but you are fully secured. The user, he cannot go and search for security levels. Everything is secured and updated regularly. Daily, we get updates of the security measures. So I
Absolutely.
hope this,
yeah, excellent.
Absolutely. And, just one point from my side on that, and I'll let Raj to add if he wish to. See, Abdul, I'm not able to see him and he's on screen anymore. I'm really not sure whether he's there or not. But just to address his, a point, see, you really have to see, you can certainly go for all these solutions, but do you have a one solution which actually, takes care of your security concerns as well as the network concern? So today, if you are accessing your core applications which are hosted on cloud over internet, you really need to have a partner who can actually help you to provide that services which will enable you to make your employees more productive and make them feel secure, right? So today, when your traffic once leaves your the ISP network backbone, so to say, the ISP actually loses the control, and this is where we have made investments to build a global fabric on internet backbone. And once your traffic actually reaches to our network or our node, then the traffic rides on our backbone intelligently and chooses the shortest and fastest path. So this actually improves the overall network performance.
And it's really about not just access, but access that is quick and secure, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So speaking of sort of this dispersed remote workforce, we've talked about how in some people's flats you have wonderful broadband. We have French folks working from the beach. It really is a whole diverse workforce. What are you guys seeing in terms of your in-customer organizations, in terms of their work from home versus work from office percentages? And what do you think the trend is going to be moving forward post-pandemic?
Okay, so the question is specifically the percentage that you're looking at, in terms of how much percentage of people will work from home, how much percentage of people will work from office? Is that the question, Annie? Okay, so see, it totally depends, right? If you are in an IT company, right? So for example, if you're somebody like an IBM, if you're somebody like a TCS, you can actually 90% of people can work from home. However, if you're in production, if you're, say, for example, if you're a JLR, if you are a Boeing, then you will have to come back to office, right? Because the workers, the blue collars, cannot be sitting at home. So one is the industry in which you are. That will define whether you can work from home or you have to go back to office. Even for the companies where you can still work from home, people are choosing to go back to office because of issues that people are having at home, right? And while I absolutely agree with what Abdul is saying, there are some companies who have done it extremely well. For example, we as a company, we are working from home, we have no issues, right? But then there are a whole lot of companies who have not been able to do it effectively because of multitude of issues. Whether it is an issue of their own deployment or where their employees are, it depends, right? And those companies are now deciding or giving an option back to employees that you may want to go back to office per se, right? So if I now take your question and give some names, if you look at Facebook is saying you can work from home for June of next year, right? TCS, for example, has said, they'll actually ensure or enforce 2025 rule wherein, by 2025, 75% of the people will be working from home. In our case, in Tata Communications, we have, around 90% of the people who are working from home at this point of time. So right now, till post-pandemic, I can see that since a lot of people have got the rhythm of working from home, as Abdul was also saying, people are loving working from home for a whole lot of reasons, right? In terms of increasing productivity and so on and so forth. But there are some gaps and lacunas also which comes in for certain organizations, certain people. So depending on that, people will choose to either work from home or go back to office. And if you're in production, if you're a blue collar worker, you will go back to office, right? So that's what we are seeing, coming back from the company.
And then a question, kind of the same question for our attendees, and you can go ahead and raise your hand if you have a comment. What percentage of your workforce continues to work from home, and what percent are in the office? And how do you all see this shaking out post-pandemic? And please go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like to comment. We'll just give a few seconds to see if anybody works up the courage. All right, so what we'll go ahead and do, I know sometimes it can be intimidating to raise your hand during a webinar. So a poll will actually flash on your screen shortly that will ask the same question, because we are interested in what your workforce looks like today and sort of how you see it in a post-pandemic world. So I'll move on to a question for Sandeep. As a global organization, are you seeing any regional variances in requirements originating from a difference in the severity of the pandemic? And what are the key insights for the Middle East in particular?
Yeah, so Annie, thanks for that question. So, what we are seeing on ground today, specifically with respect to the contact center operations of the enterprises, today they are, looking forward to move it to either to India or to any other cost-effective countries, as I said in my presentation, right? Because obviously everyone is focusing on reducing their overall operational cost, right? So this is where, people are looking for, various options or alternates which are there, which are available in the market. And then from a digital transformation perspective, if you look at, people are more investing in the, UCC services or platforms so that, their employees can effectively collaborate, right? But today, I would say the boundaries have become borderless, right? People were earlier working from their home, now, from their offices, and now they're working from their home, right? So you need to have, a collaboration platforms or tools or services which can seamlessly work, right? And that this is where people are investing in, and you would have seen the overall growth, the exponential growth, which the collaboration companies like Microsoft, the Teams vertical, so to say, Cisco WebEx, Zoom for that matter, have grown exponentially during this COVID crisis, because they are providing those services to the customers, right? And then now customers are looking to see that how even they can get rid of their traditional EPBX systems, right? The traditional voice infra what they have in their offices, and have a full-fledged cloud-based solution, so to say. So in one of the third-party research report, specifically for Middle East, it was said that in Middle East the cloud adoption has increased by 21% in FY20, right? And this is, and this year this is gonna be grow by another 10 to 15%, which is in total will be around 35%, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, that 20% statistic is enormous. There's clearly been, the pandemic has clearly been a sort of catalyst for this sort of transformation. And we talked a lot about employee interactions, but do you think that remote customer interactions will increase? As a service provider, are you seeing an increasing number of customers approaching you for contactless customer service? And do you see this as the trend moving forward?
Oh, absolutely, and it ties with the previous question actually. So one is that when I said that people are now looking for moving their contact center operations to a cloud-based solution, which could be and if their agents could be in the low-cost country, but they are now looking for a cloud-based solution, right? Having a captive environment is not making sense anymore. Obviously, they'll have to optimize their operations, so they are moving to cloud, and they're looking for next-gen services which can offer them omni-channel experience, right? With respect to connecting with their customers over mobile, over chat, video, right? So all those, and social media, so to say, right? So all those channels are being explored by the enterprises today, I would say that, Annie, to your point.
Yeah, and if I can just add one point to what Sandeep said, Annie, what is also happening is that companies like auto, bank, they are also looking at contactless, because if you're an HNI client for any bank, it is highly unlikely that you've seen your relationship manager in the last 4 or 5 months, right? Because banks couldn't do, earlier relationship managers would actually come and visit you at your office or at your home, which they couldn't do in the COVID period. And therefore they are looking at contactless. And similarly, auto OEMs, for example, the footfalls in the showrooms have gone down drastically, right? So they are looking at contactless sales from that perspective. So, while Sandy mentioned it from a large-scale BPO perspective, it's also happening in the regular sales per se, and that's what we're seeing.
So I'll actually toss the question over to our attendees now. And again, please feel free to use the raise hand function on your screen. So for all of you, do you think remote customer interactions will increase? And is your organization looking for contactless customer service? And we'll just give a few seconds for someone to raise their hand. Feel free. All right, well, in that case, what we'll do is we'll run a quick poll, because we are very much interested in your input and into what is happening in your individual organizations. And as you look at that poll, I will go ahead and ask Raj a quick question. So we're seeing that organizations, workforces have been split between in-office employees and employees that work from home. The question is, with people investing in these dual high performance private networks running for both corporate sites and the remote workforce, is there a better answer to this? Instead of this dual investment of on-premise and off-premise solutions, what's your suggestion from a service provider point of view?
Okay, as a service provider, we'll always say buy network everywhere. It gives us more revenue. So, that's the best answer for us. If you buy network at home also and office also, it's double revenue for us. But unfortunately, it's not the most optimal architecture for the clients because, you'll then end up spending higher than necessary, right? Also, the point that, when you think about connectivity at office you're connected on MPLS, or some clients have also done software-defined, SD-WAN, which means that the application performance is optimized, and therefore at office you will have better performance of your key applications, which is not the case at home, right? Because your broadband doesn't really differentiate between your most urgent application to your not that urgent application. It will give the same priority to YouTube and a Teams call, for example, right? So that's where a bit you can't really implement SD-WAN at home, right? The cost will be prohibitive, correct? And therefore you need to think about if the user is at office and he's getting a MOS score, an experience score of say 5, can I give the user an experience score of at least 4 when that user is working from home, right? If it is not 5, can it be 4? And for that, what are the kind of things that we need to do? Can I connect? Is it necessary to connect the user at on MPLS? No, you can. What Sandeep was talking about, you can look at NetFoundry, for example, in terms of connecting the user from home on a NetFoundry, so that you can do application WAN on top of what the broadband connection that you have, and thereby ensuring the experience is on top, right? So those are the kind of things that is being done. And by the way, Sandeep, even Microsoft has kind of endorsed NetFoundry. Is that correct? That is the last I heard.
Oh, absolutely. Not only Microsoft, Raj, even the other cloud platform providers, so to say, like Oracle and Google, for that matter, they are also looking to endorse NetFoundry, right?
Oh, brilliant!
Because it provides that seamless connectivity to all their end users and actually enhance the end user experience.
There you go. That's the answers, I think.
Great, thank you.
And just to add on what Raj has said, that I think from an overall architecture standpoint, specifically for enterprises, they can look to have a hybrid WAN kind of an architecture, wherein their offices are still being connected on their private network. However, when you're talking about connectivity from home over internet, you can have a virtual private network and use solutions like NetFoundry and have a seamless and secure network, right, which could run as a secure secondary network for you, so to say. So you'll have one primary running on your private network, which you already have, and then secondary network, on internet backbone. So there are many permutation combinations which can be used, right?
And so I'll ask the question to our attendees as well, because you all have been facing these challenges, of course. How has the pandemic challenged you in keeping alternative dual high performance private networks up and running for both corporate sites and the remote workforce? So please feel free to use your raise hand function if you'd like to comment or have a question. And because we are interested in your responses, even if you're not raising your hand, we'll go ahead and flash a quick poll on your screen. If you would like to contribute, please go ahead. I'll give you just a moment to contribute to the poll. and we'll move on to a question for Sandeep and Raj. So what solutions, kind of moving on to, we've talked about the safety of data, we've talked about access for employees to their information, fast and secure access. But in terms of physical safety, which is something that is a huge issue these days, what solutions are available for safety at the workplace?
Sorry, I was on mute. So let me start, and then I'll ask Sandeep to kind of give his perspective of what he has done in the region. See, one of the biggest thing which happens specifically in manufacturing, where you have to go back to office if you're a blue collar worker, because the machines won't work without you out there, right? Now, when you think about that, in a factory floor, you may also control the number of people who are there in front of the machines and so on and so forth. But the moment it comes to lunch break, what are you going to do? People are going to mill around in the lunch table, and they'll forget social distancing there, because everyone wants to eat with somebody else. Everything goes out of the window out there. And also, what happens is that specifically in a factory situation, if there is a COVID positive person detected for whatsoever reason, right, then the government will shut down the entire shop floor, because they'll say that there is one person who is positive. I don't know how many people that person has been in contact with. To reduce the spread, you shut down everything. Now that's where technology again comes into play, right? One is to kind of ensure that you maintain social distancing. So you can have multiple implementations through which you can enforce social distancing between people once you go back to work. Second is, along with enforcing social distancing, you can also do contact tracing. So God forbid, tomorrow if somebody becomes COVID positive, the system can actually see who that person has been in contact with over the last few days, so that only those people can be quarantined rather than closing down the entire office, right? And that has actually happened in a few instances that we have done, wherein some factories had to be totally shut down. In the factories where we have implemented our solution, the government has come, and when they requested this, we said, look, this COVID positive person has been in touch with so many different people. So government said, okay, only quarantine those, rest, you can keep working. For a production office or a production shop floor, for those who are in production would understand that shutting down a shop floor and then turning it on is a huge loss, right? It takes a lot of time and money and energy to shut down and restart. A lot of times, people just keep it on even when the production is not there. So that's what we are doing with whole lot of corporate across the world. Sandy?
Yeah, so Raj, that's perfect. And just want to add one point over here. So not only for the manufacturing industry, but also for the healthcare industry. If you look at the frontline workers today who are saving lives, who are our heroes, right? You really need to have right solutions in place which can ensure that someone is looking after them as well, right? So these are the solutions which can be used even for the healthcare or for the aviation segment, so to say, where all the airline industry is today is going through a turmoil, but somehow they are planning to bring back their operations. So you need to take care of your employees' safety, and which can be only addressed through these solutions which Raj just shared.
Great. So we're protecting our IT infrastructure and we're protecting our human capital. And those are so vitally important. I'll have to apologize. I think I missed Anoop raising his hand a few minutes ago. So we'll go ahead and turn on Anoop's mic, and welcome to the panel, Anoop.
Hey, it's already answered, I think. It's a hybrid model they mentioned for work private and for the public. But the question here is that, say, in this management situation, how would you, everything is on a reducing model, cost is reducing model. So how would a company or an organization go for this solution in a cost-effective way to embrace the remote working and also the other on-premises browsing requirements and stuff? That's it.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So
Go ahead, Sandy. Go ahead.
okay, so thanks, Raj. So Anup, that's a brilliant question, and you know, and I totally agree with you that you know all the enterprises or you know the IT stakeholders are today looking to you know somehow reduce their operational costs, right? So to answer your question, you know, if you look at the solutions which we are talking about here, it not only helps to improve the overall network performance, but also helps you to optimize your resources or your operations, right? And it is with respect to the overall spend as well. So for an example, and I'm just taking an example over here. So if you go for a Net Foundry as a solution which will help you to securely access your applications which are hosted on cloud and improve your network performance. So technically, if you look at, you know, it is basically increasing the throughput of your internet lines which you are having, right, even at office or at home. So you can look forward to you know downgrade your internet bandwidth which you are kind of procuring to connect your offices. There could be a or data center first, and then the internet breakout is happening, right? So you know it can help you to actually optimally run your operations and reduce your overall costs. So you know, and this can be discussed in detail. You know, if you wish to, we can probably have you know meeting with you at your office or you know remote chat. I think will give you more perspective what I'm talking about.
Thanks, Sandeep.
Thank you to Raj and Sandeep, and thank you, Anup, for your question. I am hearing that we actually have instant responses to the polls that we've taken earlier. So in just a few seconds, those polls will flash on your screen, those results will flash on your screen, and you can see where you lie in comparison to other organizations. So kind of moving back, and I know we've jumped around just a little bit, but moving back to the physical safety of employees, which is, of course, of paramount importance. A question for the attendees. What are you doing in your physical workspaces as your employees start to come back to these offices in drips and drabs? How are you ensuring that your employees are safe, they're maintaining social distancing protocols, and moreover, how are you tracking the health and wellness of individual employees? So this question is for all of our attendees. I'm sure every office has something different going on while still adhering to local regulations. So we'd love to hear what you are doing in your offices. And please feel free to use the raise your hand function on your screen to comment. That's all right. I feel like many offices are still not quite yet returning to workspaces that are, in fact, making these plans. These plans are in development. So what we'll do, of course, is we'll flash a quick poll on your screen to see what sort of measures you are taking and what measures you'd be interested in taking in the future. So a question for Raj and Sandeep. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, a question for our attendees. So how are you protecting your network from modern cyber attacks, including spreading malware and ransomware, expanding control traffic, data exfiltration, distributed denial of service? We have talked about protecting employees, and now we're going to get back a little bit to protecting the network, protecting the data from what is an ever-increasing threat landscape. So how are you protecting your network? Please feel free to use the raise the hand function, of course. It can be a bit intimidating. So in fact, we'll do another quick poll for you. Or actually, I'm sorry, there is no poll for this one. So I have a final question for Raj and Sandeep. Finally, what would your recommendation for enterprise security be in the present context? Things are changing so quickly in terms of attacks from physical viruses and attacks from cyber security threats as well. And I'll ask Sandeep this question.
Right, Annie. So, so my suggestion would be that enterprises should relook at their overall security infrastructure, right? And they can do that, by going for an overall assessment of their IT estate, right? See what kind of risk posture they are carrying today, right? What kind of vulnerabilities are, kind of existing in their environment, and then and I would say that there are many players in the industry today who does such kind of job for you and recommend you, what kind of solutions you should have in place to protect your environment from these cyber attacks or the other kind of attacks which are being exploited by the hackers, so to say. So I think that gives a fair perspective and fair, I would say, a picture of your overall risk posture, and then probably you can go for, the solutions like managed SOC, which helps you to monitor your environment, what is going on in your environment, whether there are any malwares or malicious activities happening in your environment or not. Right, then you can look forward for the advanced solutions like data loss protection and deep server security and so on and so forth. So there are many services, I would say, which an enterprise can look forward. But I think the first step is they should really look forward to do the assessment of their IT estate and infrastructure.
And a question for our attendees. We're moving back to sort of employee access. Do you currently have VPN access to your applications for employees that are working from home? And if you do, is your staff complaining about the slow response time when they do access applications and things like that? And feel free to use the raise the hand function, of course. So are your offices currently using VPN to access applications for employees working from home? And with no hands up, of course, we are interested in your input, so we'll flash a quick poll on your screen. So what are you seeing, Raj and Sandeep? Are you seeing organizations using VPN access? Are you hearing that their employees have common complaints about that access? What are you seeing on your side?
Let me take that question. So the answer to that is a resounding yes. Almost all the companies that we are speaking to, they're using VPN. But when you think about VPN is something that that is like a technology of the past. Specifically when you're talking about SD-WAN, software-defined everything, and working from home, you're talking about VPN. It's not really doing anything for the employee experience, right? But there are companies specifically, if you look at banks, for example, they have their own architecture and they are not able to get out of that architecture, wherein VPN becomes almost the only way of getting into the bank's application from a remote perspective. And since everybody is remote, you have to use VPN, right? So those are the kind of things that is happening. But VPN, again, to kind of build on the point that you said, if you look at VPN, the way VPN works, it actually loads something for its operation on the network, and therefore kills the network performance, right? You actually have 30% network performance going out because of VPN. And that is, specifically with what we are doing right now. So, for example, a video call, if you load VPN, it will not only kind of kill the performance from a productivity, from a the amount of bandwidth which the VPN will kill, but also VPN goes to a single location, right? What Sandy was saying sometime back, that everything will go to the office, and from there it will go to the internet, right? So you are not really helping the employees in any which ways. You have to look at a different topology or a different architecture which will help circumvent all that. And also, to Anoop's question, that in the new world of hybrid, when the employees are working from home, why bring them back to office for them to go to internet or any internet application? Doesn't make any sense.
And speaking of sort of improving the employee experience, I have a question for our attendees. Are your organizations moving forward with big investment decisions that might improve employee experience in digital transformation, like using software-defined WAN or any other digital transformation efforts? I think with so much uncertainty in the future, organizations may be holding back. And would you say that your organization might be hesitating in making a big investment decision? And again, feel free to use the raise the hand function on your screen. We'll give a few seconds and see if we have anyone brave enough to speak up. And if not, we'll just go ahead and do a quick poll on your screen. It should flash across your screen, and we should have results fairly instantaneously. So while you fill out that poll, I'm going to ask one final wrap-up question for Raj and Sandeep. So what is your overall recommendation for enterprise security and for preparing employees and organizations for whatever the new normal, whatever the post-COVID work from home situation will be? What is your recommendation for enterprises in the present context?
Okay, that's a very broad question, and it's kind of very interesting also. Adding to Sandeep talked about a lot of things that companies should look at specifically from a security perspective. But think about the basic things, right? How do I know that if I've hired Annie to do a job, Annie is sitting in front of the laptop, right? It's not somebody else. And we are actually helping one of the organizations do exactly that, wherein through facial recognition and AI, we'll actually tell that if we've hired Annie, is Annie sitting in front or is it somebody else? Is Sandeep sitting in front of the laptop instead of Annie? And also, you can take it to the next level in terms of telling if, how much time is Annie sitting in front of the laptop, not looking at something else, right? If you want to take it to that level, you can. While a lot of companies may not want to take it to that level, you can. It's technology, right? You can do it. So the point is, it's, when you think about security starts from there. You can deploy, VDI, for example, virtual desktops, which will kind of give you a security layer where you can't copy data. But what stops you from picking up your phone and start recording everything, right? There you go. Your security goes for a toss. In such a scenario, when you think about starting from using the camera of the laptop itself to see what the user is doing, if you want to take it to that level. Again, I'm saying that there are implications from privacy perspective also which comes in to what Sandy talked about in terms of security on the network, to implementing VDI. VDI has become extremely common these days. 90% of the customers that I know of, they are either implemented VDI or are implementing VDI, because that's how you can do a lot of things, from a compute perspective, also from a security perspective. And then they're looking at zero trust in a very big manner, right? So zero trust is very important because you are actually on an untrusted network, connecting on broadband, on many a times connecting from an untrusted laptop. So zero trust is becoming a very, very big cry for almost all the CISOs that we are talking to. Sandy, anything from the region that you're specifically seeing?
I think you summed up it well, Raj, and these are the few, I would say, on ground, what the things are happening on ground, which enterprises are now looking forward to. So as I said, I shared about the overall cloud adoption rate in the region, right? People are more and more looking forward for cloud-based services, including VDI, which Taj talked about. So I think that makes a complete sense.
So it looks like we're securing our data, we're securing our people, and we're securing our overall IT networks. It seems that moving forward, keeping all of those three things streamlined is just going to be of vital importance no matter what happens. So thank you so much to Raj and Sandeep for joining me on this panel. I'll give a few seconds if there's any further questions or comments from our attendees, or if Raj or Sandeep, you'd like to add anything here at the conclusion of our panel. I'll just give a few seconds.
I have one more question here.
Please.
This is regarding the cloud transformation. Just now, Sandeep mentioned that this region has improved a lot. Just out of interest, okay? This is would like to know maybe your clientele or your experience that you can answer this question. How would these legacy technologies, which is planned operations or print operations or any operations which legacy technologies are used, where they are interlinked with the machineries and stuff, how would you or you already did it, or you are going to do the cloud transformation on those systems, whereas zero asset on-prem? Because most of these organizations in this region are with legacy and with modern technologies in the data center. Hope you understood my question.
Yes. Thanks, Anup. It's a very pertinent question, which large enterprises. This is something which is extremely. It's a real problem statement per se. So, say you are somebody who is in the CPG industry, and you have a large retail chain. You've not even started on MES CBN yet, for example. And therefore you're looking at a SAP ECC architecture, and SAP HANA looks very remote to you because of the complicated ECC instances that are there and the way it has grown in the last 20 years, right? Those kind of implementations we are seeing at this point of time, and that's what we are trying to transpose into a HANA architecture while talking about cloud, right? Anup, there is no single silver bullet out there. It needs to be looked at, right, in terms of what is the architecture that you're going to choose. If you're talking about SAP, whether you're going to go to a TDI architecture or something else, on an appliance, all depends on your complexity, right? And thereby whether you should go to a pure public cloud or should you look at a private cloud. Will kind of be defined, right? And SAP is just a small instance in the entire architecture that may be there for you, and therefore, say for example, if you have an IBM AIX, right? Now, going out of the AIX architecture is next to impossible for a lot of clients, and thereby what happens is that in that case, going into cloud, meaning public cloud, becomes impossible, right? And that's where can we look at a private cloud architecture wherein you still have your AIX, install, but in a bit different manner, which increases your productivity, which increases the way you can look at your VMs and so on and so forth, is what we are actually making things possible. In your region, they've actually done it for Kimji Ramdas. Sandy knows the customer extremely well. Maybe Sandy, you can kind of have a quick word with Anup on what we have done with Kimchi and how we have done their, even their SAP migration per se, right? So that can be an interesting story, Anup, for you. And we are talking about a legacy to a new architecture out here. Sandy?
Yeah, so Raj, I'll prefer to have a one-to-one discussion with Anup
Sure.
on this. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great, thank you so much for your inquiry, Anup. And then we've got one more hand raised here from Abdul Karim. So we'll go ahead and unmute Abdul Karim's mic.
Yeah, hi. Hello?
Hi, Abdul.
Really, I was enjoying the session, honestly, and it was really nice to learn about all this, what you talk, the techniques. Now, I understand that VPN it could be better secured, whatever, but I would say that there is no total security in the market. That if you say that I'm 100% secure, I would think that I will argue with that until I don't know. It cannot be 100% secure anywhere or anywhere. So I really enjoy that. But VPN now, I would think in my personal view, it is more secure. It can give you more security. Understand the video, whatever, you cannot do that. But then in terms of data transmission and other like end-to-end communication, I would think that VPN would be more secure. But anyhow, I really thank you very much. Honestly, I thank you very much for this session. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abdul. You are absolutely right. 100% security is a distant dream for everybody. If somebody says that they are 100% secure, either they don't know or they are on something that I don't. But then, we should talk about, the alternate to VPN and, what VPN is all about, right? VPN is all about a key exchange from a PKI perspective, either it's 128 or 256. And if you can do the same on a different architecture, which is not archaic, meaning that it's not point to point, but it's point to multi-point, it kind of gives you the security of VPN plus adds on something else on top of it, which can really transform your experience, right? So let's talk. I'm sure something will come out of it, and we can take things forward.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to Abdul Karim for his question or his comment and his compliments on the session. It's always lovely to hear. So we'll just give a few more seconds to see if any of our attendees have any further questions or comments on what we've discussed today or the session itself. All right, if there's no further questions, I'd like to thank you all for your attendance and your input today. There's been some very profound insights, of course, into the reality of connecting the workplace, both as it is today and what it's going to look like in the future. So on behalf of Tata Communications and CPI Media Group, we thank you again for your participation and wish you a great rest of your day.